Welcome back, folks. We are joined today by Topher Morrison, one of the candidates for Tampa mayor. And he joins us in studio today to talk about his candidacy and his plans for the city. Thank you so much for coming in.
My honor. Thanks for letting me come in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I want to start out with just sort of a generic question for you, Topher. What do you think is Tampa's biggest problem, and what are you going to do specifically to solve it?
Yeah, I think just about everybody would agree, transit. It's our biggest challenge. We've got to come up with some better solutions. We need to look at multimodal solutions, and also I think we need to look outside of America for solutions. We're such a car-centric culture that if we're continuing to try to just look for what traditional transit looks like, we're not really going to find some great solutions. So I'm looking for places outside of America that have solved their transit issues, and I think if we do that, we're going to have a lot better chance at it. I gave up my car 9 years ago to offset my carbon footprint for an experiment for 30 days, and 30 days has turned into 9 years now. Wow. So nobody understands the struggles of transit as well as I do from a political perspective, because I have to live that every single day. I know how frustrating it can be trying to take a bus from downtown to the airport that takes 45 minutes. It shouldn't take that long. That should be a 15-minute ride.
Well, and you've done that by choice.
Correct.
Many Tampanians do it.
They don't have a choice.
Exactly.
Yeah, they don't have it.
I lived outside in Europe for 6 years total. I've lived in other countries. I understand exactly what you're talking about, but for people here, that isn't usually a good solution. We have sort of an insular mentality, and we don't like to look elsewhere for solutions.
There's two things. One is the fact that we just need a better system. Right. But number two, I think we need to change the culture or the mindset of what transit looks like and what transit is about. What does it mean to people? In our culture, transit is that thing that you don't want to ever admit you take. Where in other cultures, we're like, yeah, you'd be a fool not to take transit. And I think, so along with coming up with better solutions, we've also actually got to come up with some better messaging.
That's very interesting. So what specifically, though? I mean, your website says walking before biking, biking before riding, riding before driving. So what does that look like? More bus routes, more transit options, more bike lanes?
Yes to all of the above. We need to make sure that we're really providing as many solutions as possible. I firmly believe that every citizen of Tampa should be able to get from any neighborhood to another in the way that they choose in an affordably and efficient manner. And that's different for different paths, right? So we can't just find one solution. We've got to realize that sometimes buses work in great areas. You know, we've talked for years and years about light rail. The problem with light rail is just so expensive, and it takes so long, and people want a solution now. And so there's other things out there. You know, I've even introduced something as crazy as looking into urban aerial gondolas, basically ski lifts. I mean, who says that you have to take them up a mountain, right?
That sounds expensive too, though, Topher.
It's the most affordable transit developed ever.
Is it?
Yeah, it's about $3 to $12 million a mile compared to the other thing. The only thing closest would be bus rapid transit, which is about $20 to $40 million a mile.
Wow, interesting.
Light rail's 40 to 160, subways are 400. Yeah, it's very affordable.
Wow, interesting. All right. The people voted for a transportation tax in November. That charter from All for Transportation basically excludes politicians wherever possible. What's the mayor's role in working with All for Transportation and the money that they're going to control?
Sure, well, it's a big role, and we need to keep in mind that the city doesn't get all of that money, right? So that's a county-wide referendum. It's not a city-wide referendum. So we get a small piece of that pie, but the mayor gets to push the agenda forth that they want. I mean, people need to understand we have a strong form of mayor government here, which means the mayor gets to set the tone. They really get to push their own agenda forward in many ways, as opposed to other forms where it really has to be approved through city council and through other forms. This is something that we got to be careful on who we elect. We want to make sure that they align with the message that you're looking for. So the mayor has a lot to do with that.
Tampa's economy is exploding. Whoever wins the mayorship has big shoes to fill. Buckhorn's done a great job. What's next for Tampa's developing economy? Where do we take it from here?
Well, you know what, regardless of whether you like Bob or not, and I think he's done a great job, I think you'd have to give him credit. He's done a great job getting Tampa to fall back in love with Tampa. Like there's a buzz here that we haven't seen in a very long time, right? I think now we need a mayor that can get the world to fall in love with Tampa. We need to realize that we are in a global spotlight, and the eyes of the world are looking at us, and we better behave. We better make sure that we're shining brightly there. So from that perspective, one of the things I think we need to do is look at having a 100% renewable green energy policy in our city. It's no longer a choice of, is being green profitable or is being green good for the environment? they're not mutually exclusive. The most profitable things are green, so we should be looking at that from both perspectives. I'm committed to making Tampa 100% green, renewable energy city. And I also think that we can do that by helping to develop a really cool brand identity for our city as well. Alignment with that green identity, if we look at a goal of having more green space per square foot than any other city, that would be amazing. It would be better for our oxygen levels, our clean air, and the way that we do that is just put more trees, more gardens, more parks, more events up on our rooftops.
You talk about getting the world to fall back in love with Tampa. One of those things has to do with what we call ourselves and how we brand the city. We're going to get into that and the rooftop city idea when we come back. Stay with us. I like what you said there, obviously. We are back with Topher Morrison, candidate for Tampa mayor, the first in our series of interviews with all of the candidates to be Tampa's mayor. You talked about branding the city, getting the world to fall in love with Tampa, and you have an idea called the Rooftop City. What is this about?
Well, the Rooftop City goes in hand with the 100% green renewable energy that I want to go for. You know, I live downtown, I look out and I see these amazing views in Tampa, and I realize that the only people who really get to see them are the HVAC repairmen when they're fixing the air conditioning units on top of these buildings. And our city is so unique that we have multi-million-dollar views in every direction, from University of Tampa to the port to the bay. And I thought, you know what, I think every citizen should deserve the right to be able to enjoy those views. And if we could convert these building rooftops to rooftop experiences, whether they be bars or gardens or urban gardens, whatever, we could start to allow ourselves to have this identity. And here's why an identity is important. Cities that are strong have something they can rally behind, something that all citizens can stand shoulder to shoulder and say, this is what we're known for, this is what we're about. Orlando's got the mouse, Daytona's got the cars, St. Pete's got the arts, Clearwater's got the beaches. What do we have? I think we need that one thing to kind of bond us together.
You've got a varied past, small business owner. What makes you the best candidate for this job?
You just answered right there. I'm a small business owner, and small business owners are scrappy. We're resourceful. We can take a dime and stretch it to a dollar. We don't get intimidated by no's and objections. You know, it's one of those things where we wake up and we do the impossible every single day. And when you think about what leaders in politics nowadays have to do, most people say it's impossible. Well, I think it's time for us to do the impossible.
The Tampa mayoral race is technically nonpartisan.
Technically, yes. I found out that's so not true.
If you had to align yourself with one of the party's platforms, where are you closely lie?
Yeah, I'm very progressive. In fact, sometimes I say I'm so progressive, I don't think I'm I'm more progressive than some of the progressives because I actually embrace, respect, and listen to even both sides of the party. Like, I think there's a tremendous amount of benefit on both sides. I'm a fan of the two-party system. I've never met one side that's right 100% of the time.
It's true.
Right? So my past and my careers have taught me to be empathetic and compassionate to people and listen to all sides of the story. And I think that there's some benefit to looking at both sides. But I'm a progressive candidate. I'm probably the most progressive candidate in the race. Yeah.
The city is exploding, doing well. We talked about that. Business is great. But that's creating a bit of an affordable housing problem.
A big one.
How do we tackle that problem?
Yeah, well, we have to jump in and we have to make sure that we're creating rent control, affordable housing solutions that are affordable, not just for the person.
So you favor rent control?
I do, yeah. Okay. If you look at the most developing cities out there, the strongest ones that have the economy, they've understood that rent control allows you to maintain a diversity, and we have to maintain. It's the one thing, if we're going to say what makes Tampa so cool, it is the diversity that we have here and the uniqueness of all people. And if we just continue to homogenize this whole city, gentrify, and just keep people pushing the marginalized people out, it's not going to be good for our economy. We have to make it affordable for all people to live wherever they want.
Hillsborough County now has the highest tax rate in the state. You know, we approved the school tax and the transportation tax, which we talked about. Is that really going to hurt people who are living here or hurt businesses wanting to come here?
I don't think it should. You know, if you look at, it's a retail tax. The average American spends somewhere between $3,000 to $5,000 a year on retail, and that includes restaurant food. It's about $2,000 for retail products, about $3,000 for food. So that's it's about $10, $15 a month for the average person. Somebody who's a low income, it's all proportional. So I think that, you know, for our low income families that can't afford to pay any more money in taxes, that's going to be offset by their ability to then be able to afford to go anywhere they want to with public transit once we start implementing those situations. I think it'll work. Yeah.
Bit of a fun question here for you now.
All right, let me have it.
You were a hypnotherapist in your past.
Yeah, I was. I'm very proud of that, by the way.
Well, I think larger discussion about, you know, sort of yoga and how we gain more mindfulness in our society. But tell me about that. Does it work? Are you going to start making me bark like a dog?
Man, I wish, if I had that power, I'd be having a lot more fun than just running for mayor, right? I'd be hypnotizing political leaders of the world to get along so we could end the shutdown.
Right.
I'd be hypnotizing terrorists to disarm their weapons and start to listen to other people. I'd be hypnotizing, you know, we have a lot more fun creating world peace, right? You know, it's a healthcare modality just like anything. It works great for some people, not that great for others. The one thing that I'm really proud of, though, is that career taught me how to be empathetic and compassionate to humanity and realize that there's people that are hurting and struggling at different levels, and we shouldn't judge them just by their one problem.
Americans are always hustling and bustling. You know, the concept of time off is something that we don't do very well.
Not well.
Is there a thread of mindfulness? Only about 30 seconds left. But
sure.
But because you've done that before, is there something about mindfulness that we could take from that?
There is. You know what? The mayor sets a tone for the city, and if we have a mayor who's aware of that, who understands that, who has that level of compassion, we can transcend that through the entire city as well.
Yeah, very interesting. Topher Morrison, candidate for Tampa Mayor. Thank you very much for coming in, kicking off our series of interviews with all of the candidates for Tampa Mayor. Keep it right here every Sunday, and we will introduce you to all of those candidates. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
We'll be right back.